fifth episode opens as Oz and Victor set fire to the former's beloved purple Maserati. As Oz lights the match, he tells Vic about Rex Calabrese, a mobster who used to roam Oz's childhood neighborhood in a gold Cadillac, comparing the car to a chariot. As they walk away, Vic apologizes to Oz for wrecking his beloved violet chariot, but the mobster brushes it off, thanking him for saving his life and showing where his true alliances lie. Several of Oz's men arrive at the scene and are shown a TikTok of Salvatore Moroni's son, Taj, at a tattoo shop. Oz and his men arrive at Taj's location and shoot his guards, causing the young Moroni to attempt to flee, only to be tackled by Vic. Oz holds Taj at gunpoint before quickly knocking him out. At Blackgate, Oz shows Salvatore and Nadia a Polaroid of a bruised-up Taj. Infuriated, the Moronis accuse Oz of using their son as a pawn, to which Oz replies that the only way to get their son back is to give him back the stolen supply of bliss. Oz initially requests for Nadia to show up to the exchange alone, but Salvatore refuses the request, with Oz eventually allowing her to bring only one guard. Oz assures them that Taj will be just fine as long as they honor their end of the bargain and give him the bliss back. As Oz leaves Blackgate, he sees a news report on the TV about a deadly gas leak at the Falcone estate, with Sophia being one of the few survivors. As Sophia leaves her home, she is approached by GCPD Chief Mackenzie Bach, a character we previously saw in The Batman. Bach questions Sophia about what transpired that led her and Vidi's young niece Gia to spend the night in the greenhouse. She lies and claims that Luca and Vidi were fighting over Luca's wife, Tina, and she was told to take the young girl into the greenhouse for the night. Bach asks Sophia about whether she knows of Vidi's whereabouts, which she denies, claiming that he must have left that night. Suspicious of Sophia's answers, Bach further questions her, to which she responds by taunting him, accusing him of making light of her family's death. Later, Sophia arrives at her family's burial site with a bucket of cold water, and it is revealed that she has Vidi tied up and gagged. Sophia begins to torture Vidi, demanding that he show her where her father kept his money, promising that she'll let him go. Vidi refuses, believing that Sophia will kill him anyway, to which Sophia responds by dousing him with freezing cold water. Meanwhile, Oz and his men are keeping Taj at Eve Carlo's apartment, much to her dismay and concern. Oz promises her that he won't let anything happen to her, but she remains frustrated, warning him that she needs him to fix the situation. Oz talks to his men, telling them that she should not have any concern about what happened to the Falcones, believing that Sophia has done them a favor. Oz instructs Vic to go pick up his mother, Frances, while he and his men take Taj to Nadia. On the other side of things, Sophia continues taunting Vidi, where he tells her that her mother, Isabella, was planning on leaving Carmine the night of her demise, and had even attempted to flee before, but decided to stay to protect her children. Angered, Sophia chokes Vidi, accusing him of lying, to which he finally relents and offers to give her what she wants, claiming, "I couldn't help your mother, let me help you." Vic arrives at Frances's, only to find it in disarray and finds her sitting in her bedroom, looking at family keepsakes. Believing that Vic is one of her sons, she begins showing him an old baseball glove. Vic reminds her of who he is, and she snaps out of her daze. As Vic helps Frances out of bed, he sees a bruise on her arm. Vic tells Frances about the death of the Falcone family, and she asks whether Oz was the one who killed them. Not knowing what to do, he tells her that Oz killed the family, much to her approval. While in his prison cell, Sal is visited by Mikey, Joshua Bitton, one of Oz's men disguised as a prison guard, who attempts to kill him on Oz's behalf. Sal grabs the guard while being stabbed, leaving both of their fates unknown. Meanwhile, Oz arrives at a parking garage to meet up with Nadia and her armed guard, and she immediately demands her son. Oz escorts Taj, who is shown to be drenched in gasoline with duct tape over his mouth, out of his van, then orders his men to check the bliss and drive away, but Nadia demands that he release Taj first. After mother and son are reunited, Oz and his men are ambushed by the Moroni's men, but are quickly able to take them out. In retaliation, Oz lights a match, setting Taj and Nadia on fire, and they burn to death. Oz and his men drive away as the fire alarm goes off. After pulling over at their safe point, Oz discovers that almost all the bliss has gone bad and that only 2 buckets of the drug are salvageable. Panicked, Oz calls Mikey, only for Salvatore to answer, informing him that his man is dead. What's more, the head of the Moroni crime family has escaped from Blackgate. Salvatore threatens Oz, to which Oz responds by telling him to call Nadia. Oz then calls Vic, who tells him that Francis is okay. He instructs Vic to take Francis to a safe location where nobody would think to look. At the Falcone estate, Sophia is visited by Dr. Julian Rush, who tells her that he kept quiet after being questioned by the police. As Julian pledges to join Sophia, she examines her mother's fur coat, which has the name Isabella Gigante embroidered on it. Now wearing the coat, Sophia makes her entrance to her men, including Vidi. Sophia admits to killing the Falcone family and having no regret over her actions before calling her men expendable, outside of Vidi, who is still a maidman to the family. Sophia declares that her father's legacy is dead and that she will now be taking her mother's maiden name, Gigante. Vidi interjects, telling her not to make any rash decisions. But before he can even finish speaking, Sophia casually shoots him in the head. She then opens a duffel bag full of Carmine's money, telling her men that her father made money off their labor while keeping it all to himself. She promises them that if they pledge their allegiance to her, she will ensure that they will get the money they deserve. Julian watches Sophia in awe as she dumps the money onto the table. Vic takes Francis to the ruins of Crown Point, which is overrun with looters in the wake of the flood. While fleeing to an abandoned and decaying apartment building, the two are spotted by a local drug dealer. Francis tells Vic that she hates the apartment, as it reminds her of the apartment she used to share with her sons, claiming that the east side of Gotham is cursed because it takes everything from you. Oz arrives at Eve's apartment, pleading for her to come with him to Crown Point, but she refuses to go with him. Oz is angered, but Eve calms him by saying that while she still believes in him, she will only hold him back. In a remote cabin, a drunken Sal sobs while looking at a picture of Nadia and Taj. Moments later, Sophia barges into the cabin, holding Sal at gunpoint. She tells him that freedom comes at a cost, and that her father always found him to be weak because of how much he cared for his family. She begins to praise him for getting it right and tells him that they have both been screwed over by Oz and that she wants to end the war between their families. Sal is hesitant until Sophia tells him that the name Falcone no longer exists, offering him to form an alliance between the Moronis and the Gigantes, where they work together to kill Oz and take over Gotham. Oz arrives at the safe house in Crown Point, where Vic and Francis are already fast asleep. Oz wakes his mother up and lies down in bed next to her, apologizing to her and promising that he's going to try to fix things. Francis questions Oz by asking, "Are you trying to kill me?" To which he responds, "I'm trying to protect you." Then, Vic wakes up and sees Oz rummaging through his mother's keepsakes in the living room. He commends Vic for making the smart move to relocate. Vic asks Oz about his childhood after being told that he used to live in Crown Point. Oz mentions that the old baseball glove that Francis showed Vic earlier belonged to his brother Jack. It's in that moment Vic finally works up the nerve to ask Oz about what happened to his brothers, but Oz gives a vague answer. The city took them, just like it took your family. He claims that he was too weak to save them before their demise. While continuing to rummage through the keepsakes, he finds a token from Gotham's now abandoned trolley station, allowing the two of them to break in. Oz tells Vic that the station has access to all of Gotham. He uses a generator to restore power to the station, declaring it as their new base of operations, as the humidity will make it the perfect place to keep and maintain their supply of bliss. The episode ends as the power cuts off in the station, leaving Oz and Vic in the dark.